And hello. Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime. And that means that it is our skills session. For those of you who don't know, we do 3 broadcasts a week, except this week we won't be doing one this evening. I have to do a showing of my house that requires that I can't very well be broadcasting while they're looking at my home. So I'm certain you guys will understand that. All right. So, but just in regular weeks, we do 3 a week. We do one here at Friday lunchtime. We do one on Friday evening. And then we do a third one on Sunday at 3:30, which we call our Soul Sunday. And, that's where we, almost have a meditation type session. So, welcome to everybody who is with us, either live or on the replay. And just remember, if you will, that if you have a topic that you would like me to cover, please drop me a line at dearmamasal@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to fit it in as soon as we can. Or we'll possibly just add it into something else that we're doing that is relevant to that subject. All right, so this came from a request during last week's broadcast, was that we do something on the subject of forgiveness. And this is something that some of you already know a great deal about, and some of you obviously need to start working on it. And like all of our skills, oops, did not mean to do that. Like all our skills, we need to just sort of be aware that we're a work in progress. So maybe the place we need to start giving forgiveness is with ourselves. All right, we're not expected to know it all. And I've got a great new thing that I found on the Serenity Prayer. And it so amused me that I thought, I really need to share that with everybody. By the way, I'm not crying. I suffer from allergies, and apparently today is going to be one of those days. So, all right, let's go for this. During this year, we're working on emotional intelligence on different ways. A lot of you know about intellectual intelligence, IQ. But what we've been working on is EQ. How do we get our emotions under control? And it's been actually a fascinating year. I don't know about the rest of you, but I found it really interesting to literally just concentrate on these aspects. And so today is about forgiveness. And I don't know if any of you have ever read the Course in Miracles, but I found a quote on there. I actually bring up one of their quotes every day to start my day, and I let it come up again at lunchtime and then again in the evening. And it was funny because yesterday, I think it was yesterday anyway, as luck would have it, or if you believe in coincidences, which I don't, there was a great little thing that came up, and it said, "Love created me like itself, and love holds no grievances. Love created me like itself, and love holds no grievances." So I think one of the interesting things about forgiveness is it requires a lot of work from us. I want to just, it's interesting. Jodie's saying fascinating work. I have a notebook full of things to refer to, and she has learned so much. Yes, so if any of you need to get a notebook and take notes, some of you are note takers and some of you are not, but that's okay. I wanted to just remind you guys, I don't know if you've ever seen it happen where there's been a drive-by shooting or some horrible event has happened where somebody's got killed, and within hours, the family will get up on television in front of the cameras and say, "I forgive them." And I don't know about you, there have been times when I go, "What?" Have any of you ever had that reaction? It was like, how can they, within hours of such a traumatic event, just go, "I forgive them"? So I want you to think about that. And that's really the basis of what this is all about. What is it that they have in their toolbox, their emotional toolbox, that allows them within an hour or so of such a traumatic event to be able to have forgiveness? Now, some of you will know what the answer is, and some of you will spend a lifetime trying to find it out. And that's okay, because that's why we are a work in progress. I'm a great believer. The reason we're still on earth is because we're still learning this stuff. And, it's really, really important for us to forgive ourselves for not being perfect. If you don't start by realizing that you need to forgive yourself, if you don't realize that the whole trick about forgiveness is about us, it is what we do, not what anybody else has done. So my question is, how many of you have, and you don't have to answer this, but just think about it, have had something really traumatic happen to you, and, you're still holding on to it? I definitely have. I've had a number of very traumatic things happen to me, and what I had not had to, what I needed to learn to do was to let it go. Not to forget what happened, because I don't think we ever forget, but to stop living my life with that, if you like, 10-ton truck tied to my legs, and trying to haul it with me everywhere. And that every person I saw reminded me of this trauma. It's no way to live, I want to tell you. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. Now, Jody had an interesting experience, and she said that I could share it with you. She went to go and have a hygiene appointment, tooth hygiene appointment. And it started off where the hygienist filled her full of 3 vials of Novocaine, you know, and then left her alone to go and deal with another client. And when she came back, she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have enough time to do your cleaning." Now, how many of you understand that Jody was not very amused by that? Jody, as some of you know, is wheelchair bound for the most part. She's learning not to be now. But so she had to organize for a special taxi to come and get her and take her for that appointment. That's a cost. Then she sat, with all the stress of being in a dentist chair. We all know that. And then to hear that, "Oh, I don't have time anymore." I don't know about the rest of you, but I could certainly understand why she was more than a little bit upset. But what I found so interesting is what she did about it. And we're going to be talking about what to do when you have that going on. All right. How do you take that anger and that frustration and turn it around? And as you will hear as we go through today's lessons, you're going to find that there are ways in which you can turn this around if you choose to, as Jody did, and we'll talk about that. I think the story that I most want to tell you is about an incredible woman that I met during my time of being a volunteer. And I met a woman whose whole family, literally, her whole family was wiped out in the genocide in Rwanda. Some of you, might go, "What was that about?" Well, it happened quite a while ago. But literally, her whole family was wiped out. And I listened to her speak one day, and what she said was she luckily survived, And she spent her whole life preparing herself to go back and forgive the people who had done it. Now, think about that. That some political party, in this case, had literally wiped out all of your family. And she not only sort of forgave the party, she actually found the people who actually did it. They were still alive. They were quite old by then, but they were still alive. And she sought them out. She found out who they were through whatever means possible. And then she went and faced them face to face and said, I forgive you for what you did to my family. I forgive you. Now, I want to tell you that when I met her, I looked at her and said, how on earth did you do that? And she said, actually, Sal, it was quite easy. I just needed to change my mindset. And I just needed to know that as long as I hated them, as long as I wanted to see them suffer the way I did, I was tied to them. I went, interesting. So how many of you can see that her point of view, which is when we allow these traumatic things in our lives, or maybe your best friend did something that put you into a snit. If you can work on the principles that we're going to talk about of turning them around, you will find that you can let go and move on. And I want to tell you that is a good use of your time. A good use of your time. By the way, for those of you who might not be regular viewers, you're going to find a bell just below there, a subscribe button. Please hit on that. It'll let you know each time that we're going to do a broadcast. And if you haven't followed us on Facebook and Twitter, DearMamaSal on both of them, I would really recommend that you do that, because we use Facebook particularly as an update where we're like an extended family. So if anybody's got thoughts and prayers that are needed or whatever, they just let me know and I will put it up there. And not only that, but we actually sort of support each other and find good things. And just while I'm talking about that, and before we get on to some of these tools that we need, it's Juliana's birthday today, for those of you who know who Juliana is. And to let you know that we have got Jamie's birthday coming up on the 24th. And then, of course, Kerry's on Halloween on the 31st. So the first tip that I'd like to give you, if you're trying to forgive anybody, is think about yourself first. I want you to get really selfish about this. Before you start trying to fix them, think about yourself. And what I'm learning to do, and I'm doing it a lot better, which is I'm learning to say to myself, have I ever made a mistake? And the answer, you will be glad to hear, is yes. I make them regularly. My bigger question was, have I made one today? I don't know if any of you relate to that. It's not like, have I made a mistake? It's like, how many have I made today? And so when I'm angry about something, if I'm frustrated about something, my first question now is, have I made a mistake in my life? And then when I ask myself, when I've made a mistake, what did I want to have happen? I wonder if that makes sense to any of you. If I've made a mistake, did I have the courage to pick up the phone or to send an email if I didn't have the courage to pick up the phone and say, "Look, I'm sorry. What I did was not good behavior, and I apologize for it." Because from my reality and my experience, when somebody has the courage to do that, it's very difficult, quite honestly, not to have better feelings about them, because it takes character to do that. It takes character to be able to apologize for when you've messed up. And so, some of you know the well-known saying, to err is human, to forgive is divine. That came from the English poet Alexander Pope. To err is human. We all make mistakes. And to forgive is divine. So you look at the lady whose whole family was wiped out. She had to come to an understanding that the people who did it made a mistake. It was a mistake against humanity. And with all due respect, history is repeating itself. I think when we've got the Turkey and attacking the Kurds at the moment, it's like this is all about very difficult things. All right. And so you look at it and you go, it's not good and it's not right. But forgiveness is really important. Really important. Do I think, that I can forgive everybody? I try. I'm not very good at some of it, I must admit. But I am a work in progress, and I forgive myself for not being perfect on it. Some of you are lucky enough to have faith. And if you have faith, then you know, as I do, that faith and forgiveness go hand in hand. One of the main cornerstones of faith is your ability to forgive and move on. That is, it's taught in so many different ways. And some of you will have read the Serenity Prayer, which basically says, God grant me the the courage to control the things I can and let go of the things I can't, is basically what it says. But what I did is I found a new version of it, and just let me read it to you because I thought it was so great. And it was written by a Jesuit priest, which also surprised me. But how many of you can relate to this? By the way, the Jesuit priest was James Martin, and he said, God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, which is pretty much everyone, since I'm clearly not you, God. And at least not I'm clearly not you, God, at least not the last time I checked. And while you're at it, God, please give me the courage to change what I need to change about myself, which frankly is a lot, since once again, I'm not you, which means I'm not perfect. It's better for me to focus on changing myself than to worry about trying to change other people who, as you no doubt remember me saying, I can't change anyway. Finally, give me the wisdom to just shut up. Whenever I think that I'm clearly smarter than everybody else in the room, that no one knows what they're talking about except me.